There are no approved leaves of absence. There are no applications. Declarations of interest not been notified. There are no questions from the public with no announcements. So we're down to basically the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Could somebody move that we confirm the minutes of the May meeting, the last meeting? Joylene, Julie, all okay? The investment report. The investment report, there's not a lot to speak about there other than the investments are doing really well. That's, they're talking about interest rates. Interest rates are still reasonably high, so we're getting very good return on our interest. Pretty much all the money's in Westpac from what I can see.
That is correct, yeah.
Got a pretty good relationship with them at the moment, so it's probably not a bad idea to maintain it. Could somebody move that we receive the report on council investments, the bank accounts? Deborah?
Yep.
Joylene, all okay?
Yep.
The payment by employees by purchasing cards, that's, used to use order books a lot. A lot of places don't like using order books anymore because when you use an order book, you've got to buy something. Then they've got to get the bill, put it with the order. Then they've got to send you a bill and then they've got to wait while you pay them. Everybody nowadays pretty much says they'd rather you use a credit card instead of an order book, so they get their payment straight away. So because credit cards need to be managed so that they don't lose control of people using them, there's a report every month on what the credit card's been used for. It can only be used for work. Now, the credit report for us, mostly on what we use it for, is fuel. Around the lands, Elvis uses a credit card for fuel when he's working. And we use it a lot for airfares, for travel and for accommodation. And that's what pretty much everything is there. I went through that with Max and David this morning. And that all looks pretty straightforward. So could we have somebody move?
Yes.
Deborah? Seconded for that. Julie, all okay? See, is David's report of what he's been doing in the last month. Is there anything in there that you'd like to particularly draw our attention to, David? It looks pretty straight.
Through you, Mr. President, I think everything in there's pretty well as normal for a typical month. Probably the only one that I would highlight is the meetings and the visit from our auditors out to the Shire. They attended out to the Shire in person on the can't remember the date, but a couple of weeks ago. So that was a fantastic visit, and Marius, the auditor, walked away, feeling a lot more informed about who we are and how we operate. So that certainly has gone towards, building the relationship we have with the auditors and the Auditor General's department. So, yeah, I just wanted to recognise that.
Oh, shit. Sorry, man, I just thought it might have been Preston. Okay, can we have somebody move that we receive the CEO report? Deborah. The council resolution register, they're things that we've resolved to do as a board. And then David goes forward with that and does the actions necessary. The only outstanding thing on there is something that David hasn't got a lot of control over. It's to finalise some leases with the Ngandana Land Council over a couple of buildings. The Early Childhood Centre. That one, there is where Joy stays. There's a lease there. They're 20-year leases that the Shire's got with a few places, and maybe the office here. So apart from that, everything's fully up to date. So could somebody confirm that that's a true record of the activities solution register? Julie, Joylene, okay. Now that follows on to the early childhood. The council waives the rent for the early childhood centre and for Joy's accommodation as the manager of the playgroup. So we do that. We just renew that arrangement is it every month or every 3 months? Yeah. Okay, could somebody move that we waive the rent? Waive means you don't charge the rent. Okay. Deborah,
Yeah.
Joylene, all okay? Now, this one, the Shire's got some buildings like, where Land and Culture are and the tenancy program that there where Centrelink use. And we hire them out to people, and we've got a couple of other buildings that we hire out to people. Now, we charge them rent, and when we do the budget, we set up how much we're going to charge them for rent. But what's changed is there's another law called the Residential Tenancy Act, which is the state law that tells you how you have leases and how much you can charge for rent and how much for bonds and stuff like that. And it used to be the Shire used to set the charges as part of the budget when we work out what we're charging for rates, what we're charging for other services. So what's happened is the council endorses an absolute majority of the findings of a review that says the rental charges will come out of the annual fees and charges starting on the next financial year, enable it to be done through lease agreements, which is what you do under the Residential Tenancies Act, like you do with your house with Homes West and with the council. Okay, could somebody move that we authorise the change? Deborah, Joylene, all okay? Local government nowadays has lots and lots of plans, and you're required to have them. This plan is a review of the business continuity, like if you have a disaster. Remember we had those big storms that just blew all the wires down, blew roofs off, everything else, the store was closed, everything else, no power. Is when that happens, is you have to have a plan to keep your businesses going in town, like your shop open, your roadhouse open, you can buy fuel, you can get food, the trucks still come, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got your disaster recovery plan, some short term, sometimes, you've got your short term plan, like a day after it floods, you can got to get some blankets and mattresses and get rid of stuff that's wrecked and all that kind of thing. Then you've got to go around and assess the houses and make sure they're healthy and safe. And you just do those things step by step. So that's what your disaster recovery plan does. So the council, the resolution here is that the council endorse the Shire's business continuity that's ongoing disaster recovery plan from 2026 to 2030 and report it to the Audit and Risk Committee at the next meeting. We have somebody move. Deborah, Joylene, all okay. This next one is the information, the privacy and information breach policy. Local governments often get their hands on other people's information, like when you're on the electoral roll, you've got to give people your name, your full name and your birth date. And when you give, with bank accounts, people ring up the bank and they pretend to be other people and that kind of thing. So if you ask people for their information, you've got to have a policy that says if somebody just comes and asks for information, you can't just tell them. You just sort of say to them, no, that's private information that we've got for local government reasons. If we've got people who pay rates, they give us information about themselves, their addresses, their company, that kind of thing. We have to have a policy about, staff and councillors keep that information private for those people. So we've got two policies. One of them is to manage looking after people's private information if they give the council any information. And the other one is if something happens and there's a leak of information, like they get a hacker or something that gets information, you have to report it straight away to the police. You have to report it straight away to the Privacy Commissioner, and then you've got to start your processes for letting people know if the information's gone. Some of the big ones, like Optus, had a really big one not long ago. About 200,000 people had all their information from their credit cards and key cards, where they're paying bills and that sort of stuff dripped off. So we've never had anything like that as a Shire, but you have to have rules in place just to make sure you don't. So could somebody move that we adopt a policy for privacy and information? And the second half of the thing is the policy for managing the breach if there is a breach or somebody gets in. Joylene. Move Joylene. Seconder. Julie. All okay? Okay. Just hang on a sec, mate. Preston's, I've got hold of him. Yes, Preston, we're just in the meeting. We'll just put you in. Are you okay to attend now? Okay, mate, we'll just continue on.
All right, nice.
Do you have a problem with amending the attendance there, David?
No, not at all. That's fine.
Okay, no, that's good then. Okay, we'll continue on.
Yeah, okay, right.
Okay, the next thing we're dealing with the operational services report. That's the work that Marcel and Phil do. They look after the waste service. I'll just turn this down a bit. They look after the waste service, the Shire's properties, maintain the building here, do all of those things. That all looks pretty straightforward. They keep themselves pretty occupied. Everyone sees them. So do we have somebody move that we receive their report on on the operational services? Deborah, Joylene, all okay? The next one is the environmental health report. We had a contractor come in and do an environmental health report for us because we don't have a full-time health surveyor at the moment, environmental health officer. So she came through and spent a week out here doing various things. The only thing probably that came from that, because it was a short-term contract just for the one trip, was the registry of the food handling businesses. David, did that go anywhere at this stage?
Through you, Mr. President, it has been something that was identified as not being correct at this point. There were some outstanding registrations that are due. We have started to receive payment from some organisations, but it is something that we still need to follow up, and I'm hoping within the near future we're going to have an environmental health officer who will certainly follow up on that and see that through to compliance. So yeah.
So what happened was we had a long list of everybody who handled food or was required to do food handling, aged care, hack meals, shows, roadhouses, stores, that kind of thing. But that list wasn't a formal registry, so we're looking at what that would look like now and getting that finalised. So that's probably the main thing that comes from that report. We've been doing those inspections for 30 years and we keep good records, but as I say, the actual nature of the registry and what that looks like, we haven't been charging in the past, so that's probably going to be the biggest change. Okay, can we have somebody move that we receive the environmental report for June? Joylene?
Yeah.
Preston, all okay? Yeah. The council received the council received the monthly payments listing for April, showing payments of 981,000. Once again, largely road funding. Have you got anything there that you think needs to be noted, David?
No, not at all. As you just mentioned, the bulk of the payments do relate to our roads contractor breakaways. So other than that, there's no out of the ordinary expenditure at all.
Basically paying conditions, fuel and tyres. Okay, could we have somebody move that we receive the monthly payment listing? Joylene, Deborah, all okay? Now, we've got the monthly financial report for the end of May, so we've got one more month left in the financial year, which is this month, June. So how we're travelling in May, up to May, is a pretty good indication of how we're going to finish the year. Now, I've had a talk with David and with Max this morning, and by and large, we're on track for having a very straightforward year. Sometimes it's very hard to work out. You've got your contractor and your roadworks matching up with your money. You get left with money because your contractor hasn't kept up with it, or you run out of money and you have to send your contractor home because you can't afford to pay him for a month or two. This year has been a really, really good year that they're going to finish the roadworks, the money for the roadworks, pretty much right at the same time as the year runs out, so they won't have to leave. They'll just have a week's break and come back and then start again. So they'll be able to keep on going. Other things, all the normal things that we would deal with, some of there's some under expenditure, some over expenditure, but it's not a lot, and everything is looking very sound and things are looking good. Do you want to add to that, David, at all?
No, I might look at, I mean, from my perspective, we're certainly in a good position. As you mentioned before, we went through it in detail earlier this morning, and there are some areas that we've certainly underspent, predominantly in the wages and salaries area. But look, overall, I think we're in a really good position. But I might also ask if Max has any further comments to make.
Yeah, nothing major to draw your attention to. Just as Damien and David have said, just some underspends and overspends, but everything kind of nets off to what we'd expect. So yeah, it's been a good year.
Okay, thank you, Max.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, now the next item is confidential item. So the meeting is to go into confidence. Now, exactly who's covered by that?
David Masson.
Yeah, okay, well, Tanya will remote.
So sorry, everyone, you're going to have to